composter with your green material, and it'll all heat up, and then after it's heated up, then you can use it. If you buy a chicken manure, and it's a really great product to use, it's, in my opinion, better than any steer manure. You can get a couple of products that say on it composted chicken manure, and that is safe to use in your garden immediately. But if you get something that's not composted, you must compost it yourself or it will burn your plants. Right, back. So removal 2 is, there's really not a whole lot of benefits to this. It's backbreaking. But you don't have to wait. You know, get in there and dig your stuff out, and you can then put in your soil amendments and plant right away. This is a house that had, I'm sorry it's a real bad photograph, but this is what the house looked like before, with Bermuda grass lawn. And this was the process, or starting the process of putting the garden in. So that's what it looked like after all the lawn was removed. And it took 3 of us 2 days to get that out. And again, this is another piece of property with this, you know, just really overgrown, horrible Bermuda grass in it. There's a gentleman there with a pick. The ground was so hard. We did this in the late fall, and although the grass was growing, the ground was so hard we had to use a pick to break it up. And it took us, 4 of us, 3 days to get this lawn out.
What else do you use to dig the soil or dig the sod out?
Well, a pick, a shovel, basically, and if you push your shovel down into the ground as far as you can get it, and then flip it over, right, it'll expose the roots, and you can see them, and they're like tendrils in there. And then you just hit that piece of that water dirt onto something else. Like we'll grab 2 pieces of dirt and bang them together, right, so you lose get as much soil off of it as you can, right, and then throw the grass and let it dry, and then you can get more soil out of it. Because again, that top layer of soil is it's very labor intensive. It's hand work, but it's totally worth it if that's what you got. If you have Bermuda grass. So this is what the house looked like after we got all the lawn out. City Farmers Nursery. If you don't know about them, find out about them. City Farmers Nursery has great amendments. They have just a plethora of information for anybody who is wanting to do their own gardening. We use Bill and his crew for all our topsoil and all of our bulk composts because it's good stuff, and he's a great guy to work with. So this is our first garden here. You can see this is, even though we did hand removal on this garden overwintered. I didn't plant it right away. So we put about 6 inches of straw on that, and that keeps the soil intact and cool, and the straw is composting into the soil too, so it's enriching everything while this waits for spring planting. And these are some of the front yard gardens that we've done.
Very nice.
So the one on the top is a winter garden. There's broccoli, artichokes. We've mulched it, but we do keep we use a Netafim irrigation lines there, and seems to work pretty good. There's also, I don't know if you can see it, but behind that sign there's a squash plant that overwintered. So she was eating zucchini in January. Wow. Yes?
Do you find neighbors coming along and helping themselves?
No. I've not had that problem in any of the gardens that we've put in. I tell you what, though, we've met all our neighbors because they come over and want to know what we're doing. When we're working in this garden, our neighbors come by all the time, and what's going on this week? What do you got going on? And I've not had anything. Now this garden here, I don't know if you can see where the sunflowers are. There's squash down below there are pumpkins, and she had these big orange pumpkins in her front yard growing, and I was out there working one day and I saw these kids come by, these little boys, I'm like, oh, those pumpkins are gone, and because I knew what it was, I remember what it was like to be 12, the sound of a smashing pumpkin. But they didn't take them. Nothing has been taken out of this garden, and it is right on the sidewalk. A lot of people stop, a lot of people admire, but no one has taken anything out of there. And there are tomatoes, these are tomato plants right up in here, that filled with big red tomatoes. And I don't know what it is about people taking food out of front yards. I've never had a problem with it, even though we all have a concern about
I
it.
think it would be.
I think a lot of people they're not familiar with how food's grown, so they don't realize that like it's really the same produce as you get in the store. And if they did, they might be more fun to take.
Maybe. I think it's more of a respect thing.
Oh, that's
I really do. I mean, how can you not know what a tomato looks like? I mean,
What about raccoons and things like that?
yeah, there are raccoons, skunks. We have raccoons, skunks,
Snails.
cats,
Possums.
possums. There's a really great product that works for all of those. It's called a scarecrow. It's a water. No. Oh. It's a motion sensor water sprayer. And what you do is you set this down. It's about this tall. It looks like a rainbird. It's got a motion sensor panel on it, and you turn it on at night when most of the critters are out. And it senses something in your garden, and it sends out a blast of water, and it makes noise. It goes, and the water is hitting the ground, and the animals run away, and it works.
Those do work very well,
They do.
but make sure you turn them off if you're going to go out there because...
They will also keep people out of your garden. And the first time we got ours, I was after my husband to set it up because I was busy, and I'm like, come on, set this thing up. And, you know, dragged his feet. And finally he set it up, but he didn't tell me. And I came home and was wandering out into the garden, and it went on, and it scared me so bad. It was the first time I have ever fallen flat on my face. You know, I just went down like this to get away from whatever it was. It was a miracle I didn't break my nose, but it will keep people out of your yard.
Where do you get those from?
You can get them at Walter Anderson's nursery. I believe Armstrong's has them. They're not inexpensive. They're about $80, but they work. They do work. The nice thing was they also keep the cats out. My raised bed used to always be a litter box, and it's not any longer.
Do you have to have power running from the house? Or is it
No,
just
battery
all-
operated.
battery
You do have to have a hose hooked up to it. They do shut off real quickly, so when something moves, it turns it on, and then it shuts off. And there's like a 5-second delay, and if it moves again, it'll turn it on again. So it's random, and that's one of the reasons it works so well.
Right.
It'll also keep birds out of ponds. We did a Three Sisters growing here. These were corn and beans, and then there were squash growing along the bottom of that. It was really, really beautiful.
That's Angie's house?
That's Angie's house, yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. We have blueberries. There's the pumpkins I was telling you about. In the front of this garden, there are California natives and drought-tolerant plants, and we don't have to water them. The water from the irrigation just seeps down, and that's a little bit of a slope, so it runs down and takes care of the irrigation for the plants.
What sort of irrigation are you using? So, a solar hose?
We use a product called Netafim. It's
Can you spell it?
Netafim. I have been using it for a year and a half now, and I won't recommend it because it's expensive, and we've learned some things since we started using this. I honestly think the best way to irrigate a garden like this is to hand water, and I know that sounds like a pain, but we've just recently put in 2 gardens in on Coronado. Same soil, same microclimate, same plants, same seeds, same people, same everything. The only difference was one of the gardens we set up with an automatic irrigation system. It had a timer, it regulated the water, it had sprayers and all that. And the lady isn't home a lot. The other garden, and these are both novices, the other gal hand waters her garden. And it's 10 times better. That garden is growing like crazy, and it's amazing. It's the first time I've ever seen that in action, and I know and I'm not going to get all hippy-dippy esoteric here on you, but I really believe it's because